Good morning, everyone. I am Ines Chandan Shri, Assistant Professor in MS Ramaya University of Applied Sciences. Today, we'll be discussing on the topic of compass surveying. We'll start with that. The topics that will be covered in today's session will be with respect to the medians, the meridians, the bearings, and the principle of working of a prismatic compass and a surveyor's compass. Also, we will understand what is the difference between magnetic bearing and the true bearing. Then we'll also understand the two different systems of recording the bearings. That is, one in whole circle bearing system and the other one is in reduced bearing system, or also called as quadrantal bearing system. And in the further topics, we'll also discuss about local attraction and errors in compass surveying. So to begin with, compass surveying can be used when the area to be surveyed is comparatively small and is fairly flat. So if the terrain is very rugged, it is the compass surveying may be very tedious in nature and it may be very difficult for us to conduct the survey. But when the survey area is that is what is mentioned here. The there are different instruments which can be employed to measure the angles when the area is large and also when the area is having a rough terrain. Uh, Using compass to determine the direction with respect to an absolute direction, that is with respect to the north, is called as a compass survey. Then there are two forms of compass that we use for the measurements of angles. One is prismatic compass. This is the image of a prismatic compass. The other one is the surveyor's compass. First one First one, this is the surveyor's compass, prismatic compass. In this prismatic compass, the readings are taken in quadrantal, in the whole circle bearing system, and here the readings are marked from 0 to 360 degrees. Now the north is marked here, and the readings are taken in a whole circle bearing system. Next, this is the image of a surveyor's compass, wherein the readings are marked in quadrantal bearing systems. In the sense, quadrantal bearing systems means we have four quadrants, that is, four directions are marked: north, south, east, and west. Next, this is called as northeast quadrant, and this is southeast, southwest, and northwest quadrants. In each quadrant, the readings are marked from 0 to 90 degrees. 0 degree here and 90 degree here. So 0 degree is marked on north and south direction, and 90 degree is marked on east and west direction. And the readings are taken down as if, let us say that this is the angle that is marked, and it is always marked from the primary meridian. Primary meridian is north-south meridian. So now this angle theta can be written as south theta degrees east. So this is how it is marked. Next, we will understand the working of a prismatic compass. This is the typical cross section of an prismatic compass. So in this we can see that the name prismatic compass itself comes from the usage of prism here to take the readings. So this has an eye vane and an object vane. Eye vane helps us to see when we have to sight an object. Now, how do we start? Now, if I want to measure the direction of any given line AB, first I set the instrument at station A. So, I set this compass using this thread on a tripod stand. Once this is set, it is leveled using a level tube. Then, with the help of the eye vane, we will bisect the crosshair in the object vane and we will sight the object here. So if you want to find out the direction of the line AB, we can hold a ranging rod here and this can be sighted through this. This ranging rod has to be bisected by a crosshair that is present here. Next, after that, there is this is the magnetic ring which is suspended, and now this ring, the readings on this ring can be read with the help of a prism. This prism helps us in clearly reading, taking down the reading, and helps us in noting down the readings in a very clear manner. So this is the these are the major parts of a prismatic compass, and this is the image how which shows how it has to be fixed. So as I told, at one station A it will be fixed. From station A, the object at station B is bisected, and now if I want to bisect this tree like this, it has to bisect in this fashion, and the reading directly below the crosshair is taken. So the least count of this instrument is 30 minutes. So this is how the ring looks like. 0 is marked near the south end because this is the eyepiece. If you are taking the reading at 0, then 0 is marked at the I'm sorry, if you are taking the reading that is here, then the readings are marked in an opposite fashion to take the proper reading, so that it is not confusing. Next, this accuracy of a magnetic compass depends on how much freely the needle is supported on a pivot. The top of now this is the pivot. Now if the needle is not supported properly, then there are chances that this, if the needle is like this, if it is not straight, then there are maximum chances that the readings that are taken are erroneous. So when the needle is in this fashion, what we can do is we can press this brake pin, which will help us in suspending this graduated needle or the graduated ring in a proper way. The needle here, and this is the aluminium graduated ring which is fixed on the needle there, and the graduations as discussed earlier, and the graduations are marked from 0 to 360, and it is in clockwise direction. And this is how the readings look, and whatever reading we take, we are taking it from the north. If I want the direction of a line like this, if this is the north, the angle or the reading that we are taking symbolizes that this is the theta. If I want to measure the bearing of this line, this is the theta that is read in prismatic compass. So any angle that is recorded with the help of prismatic compass is always measured from the north. Now there are certain temporary adjustments which we have to do for a prismatic compass. Now first one being centering. Centering means we have to set up a station. Now if we fix the point A and B, if these are the 2 points, and the bearing of the line AB has to be measured, then instrument has to be fixed exactly on top of point A to know to take the accurate reading. So centering that is very important. So we can center it using a plumb bob. So if plumb bob is not available, then it may be judged by dropping a pebble from the center of the bottom of the instrument. So from the center of these 3 legs, you can drop a pebble and see where it falls, and that point is the point over which the station is set. So by that method we can determine or we can set the station on the point A. Next step after centering, next step is leveling. This is a very crucial step, as if the compass is set like this in an oblique fashion, then the needle also will be in this fashion. So when the needle is in oblique angle, the readings will be erroneous in nature. That is the reason why we have to level this instrument and we have to set it in a proper level. So this can be done with the help of a level tube, which can be placed on the top of the compass, and level can be checked in multiple direction. Next is focusing of the prism. So this prism which is used here, the prism which is used here, sometimes it will be out of focus. For that purpose, it can be focused by moving it up or down this vein. When we move it up or down along this vein, the readings tend to be clear. Next is surveyor's compass. Surveyor's compass, it's uh, it's also a compass which is used to measure the bearings of magnetic bearings, but here instead of measuring it in whole circle bearing system, we measure it in quadrantal bearing system. Now here, instead of a graduated ring attached to the magnetic needle, as you can see in this image, a magnetic needle itself is suspended and the graduations are marked on the base of the plate. So this is one of the difference between prismatic compass and a surveyor's compass. It looks like this. Four quadrants, the entire circle is divided into four quadrants and the readings are marked on the base of the plate. Then let us understand what is the major difference between a prismatic compass and a surveyor's compass. The major difference between prismatic compass and the surveyor's compass is the graduation circle. In case of a prismatic compass, the graduation circle is fixed to the needle itself. So it does not rotate with the line of sight. But in case of a surveyor's compass, the graduation circle is fixed to the box and it rotates with the sight. Then next difference is there is a prism at the viewing end. So we have seen the image in the previous slides that there is a prism which is fixed at the eye vein. So this prism is not present in case of surveyor's compass, because only reason is in case of prismatic compass, the readings are very uh, the readings are as the readings are marked on the graduated scale. It has to be, one has to view the object and then take the readings here. But in case of prism surveyor's compass, as the readings are directly fixed on the uh, base of the plate or base of the compass, the readings will not move, so you can directly take the readings with the help of a naked eye. Next difference is the graduations here are in whole circle bearing system. In this, the graduations are in quadrantal bearing system. The graduations are marked inverted, and this I told you. North and south is marked. At north there is 180-degree marking, at south there is 0-degree marking. So in case of prismatic compass, the readings are inverted just to ease the uh, noting down the readings. The graduations are marked directly here. There is no inversion of the readings. Magnetic needle does not act as a index. That means there is no sharp end like this, or there is no index marked on the in the prismatic compass. But in case of surveyor's compass, we have a magnetic needle which is where the index is marked. Next, stand may not be provided, and instrument can be used in suitably by holding in the hand. In certain cases wherein we don't have, as we all know that the tripod stand used for the prismatic compass doesn't have an adjustable legs, sometimes it becomes very difficult for us to set the instrument in a hilly terrain, or if the terrain is rough. So in that case, what we can do is we can hold the instrument suitably in the hand and then measure the uh, angles or the bearings. But in case of this one, the surveyor's compass, this cannot be used without a tripod stand. Now we will understand the notations of bearings. The common systems of notations are as mentioned earlier. One is whole circle bearing system, the other one is quadrantal bearing system. Whole circle bearing system is also called as azimuthal bearing system or azimuthal system. Quadrantal bearing system is also called as reduced bearing system. So here you can see in the whole circle bearing system, it is marked from 0, and this is 90 degrees, this is 270 degrees. I'm sorry. This is 180 degrees and this is 270 degrees. Again it comes back here as 360 degrees. Now here you can see in this image, theta 1 is measured from north, theta 2 is also measured from north, theta 3 is also measured from north, and theta 4 is also measured from north. Whatever, irrespective of the quadrant in which the line is lying, the readings are measured from north only. Next, coming back to the quadrantal bearing system, here you can see it is divided from north, it is divided into 4 quadrants, and in each quadrant the reading is measured from a principal axis. Principal axis or reference axis is north south axis. That means if you are in northeast quadrant or northwest quadrant, then the readings are taken from the north towards east or towards west respectively. If if the line is in southwest or southeast quadrant, then the readings are taken from south uh, towards west and south towards east respectively. So the arrow marks here indicate the direction of taking the readings. So the 0 is marked here, 90 degrees is marked here, again 0 is marked here, and 90 degrees is marked here. So we represent it in terms of north alpha degrees east, or south beta degrees east, or this one we can represent as south theta degrees west, and this is north 5 degrees west, but we never write as west 5 degrees north. So this indicates the direction of measurement. Next, this in this slide where the points are the points which we discussed just now are mentioned here. And regarding quadrantal bearing system, we have to be very careful about the naming. Reduced bearing or quadrantal bearing means the same. Whole circle bearing or azimuthal bearing means the same. Now let us understand the relationship between the azimuth. When we talk about northeast quadrant, then whole circle bearing is equal to the reduced bearing, because it is measured from the north and the direct reading can be taken. In the southeast quadrant, what happens is, in the reduced bearing system we measure from the south, but in case of now the bearing of this line OA is measured in quadrantal system in this direction. But in case of whole circle bearing system, it is measured from here. So both the angles are different. So the relation is in the southeast quadrant, the relation is, if you want to convert from quadrantal bearing to the whole circle bearing, then it is 180 degrees minus of this azimuth reading, minus of this reading. So this is how the relation is established. We'll solve some problems. This problem says we have to convert the whole circle bearings to the quadrantal bearings. So whole circle bearing given here is 10 degrees 18 minutes. Now 10 degree 18 minutes comes in the first quadrant, north east quadrant. So this is 10 degrees. Let us consider this as theta. This is 10 degrees 18 minutes. So this can be represented as north 10 degrees 18 minutes east. Similarly, second is 95 degrees. Now, next option is 95 degrees 12 minutes. So this is north. Here it is east. East means here it is 90 degrees. 95 comes here. So this is 95 degrees 12 minutes. So we have to find out this theta now, because in from the whole circle bearing we have to find out the quadrantal bearing. Quadrantal bearing is represented in south theta degrees east. So how do you find out this theta? From here to here it is 180 degrees. 180 minus of this angle, if we do, we will get this value theta. That is what is done here. 180 degrees minus 95 degrees 12 minutes will give us 84 degrees and 48 minutes. So next is 225 degrees 30 minutes. 225 degrees 30 minutes comes in, this is 180 degrees here. If this is north, then this is 270 degrees. 225 degrees comes in third quadrant. So this is 225 degrees. So what we need this angle theta. So what we can do is 225 degrees 30 minutes minus 180 degrees will give us 45 degree 30 minutes. So this is in south west quadrant. So it is from south 45 degrees 30 minutes towards west. That is the meaning here. Next is whole circle bearing system. Next answer is 350 degree. 350 degree comes in fourth quadrant here between 270 degrees to 360 degrees. This is not, so it is measured like this, but what we want now is this theta. So 360 degree minus of this whole circle bearing will give us the answer here. There is a small mistake here. It is actually 360 degrees minus 350 degrees 10 minutes. Answer is correct, but the notations that are put here is wrong. Yeah. In the previous slide, we learned how to convert whole circle bearing to quadrantal bearing. In this particular slide, we will learn how to convert from quadrantal bearings to whole circle bearings. First example is north 6 degrees east. That means east, it is in this quadrant, north 6 degrees east. That means the theta is north 6 degrees east. So this can be directly written as 6 degrees 20 minutes. Second is south 17 degrees east. That means we came to know that it is in southeast quadrant. South 17 degrees east means this is beta. Let us name this as beta. So 17 degrees east. Here, but we want whole circle bearing. Whole circle bearing is this angle. Then what we can do is from here to here it is 180 degrees. 180 degrees minus of this angle beta, that is 17 degree 25 minutes, will give us this angle. That is what is mentioned here, and we'll get the answer as 162 degrees 35 minutes. Next is northwest. Northwest is, this is north, this is west. North 17 degree 25 minutes, west. So from here to here the value is required. Till here it is 360. 360 minus of this angle 17 degree 25 minutes will give us 342 degree 35 minutes. Similarly, north 11 degrees west. So 360 minus 11 degrees will give 349 degrees 0 minutes. So this is about how to convert from whole circle bearing to quadrantal bearing and quadrantal bearing to whole circle bearing. So now we will learn about bearings. So when till now we were talking about the term bearings, right? So what is a bearing? Bearing of a line is its direction relative to a given meridian. Now you fix up one meridian, fix up one reference direction, and with respect to that reference direction, if you measure the angle of any given line on the surface of the earth, then that is called as a bearing. So which is meridian means it's in any direction, such as it can be a true meridian, that means true north. It can be a magnetic meridian, that is magnetic north. We all know that earth is not straight, it is tilted like this. Magnetic north and true north have the difference. Magnetic north is subjected to change, but the true north is a fixed geographical location on the surface of the earth. If you measure the direction with respect to the true north south of the earth, then that is called as true meridian. If you measure the direction to true bearing, if you measure the direction with respect to magnetic north and south, then it is called as uh, magnetic meridian, magnetic bearing. Then there is one more point, that is arbitrary meridian. Arbitrary meridian means we can fix up any random arbitrary direction and consider that as datum and measure all the angles with respect to that reference line. So then that is called as an arbitrary meridian. This is about magnetic meridian. So as I told you, the with respect to the rotational axis, if you want to speak, the magnetic north pole and the true north are not at the same location. The reason being, magnetic north keeps on changing its position, and it is at a certain distance from the true north, because as the density and as there is a change in the movement of hot molten lava in the core, the magnetic fields also will change. That is the reason why magnetic north pole keeps on changing, not to a very great extent, but it is not a fixed position. Then we have something called as magnetic dip and declination. So this earth acts as a very powerful magnet, and like any other magnet, it forms a very huge magnetic field, and which exerts a direct influence on the magnetized bar which is present on the earth. So if any slender or symmetrical bar magnet is freely suspended at its center of gravity, it is free to turn in any direction. Now that will align itself in the position parallel to the lines of magnetic forces on the earth. So that uh, can be found out, the magnetic direction of the magnetic line can be found out using a dip meter. This magnetic declination means the difference between now, if this is the surface of the earth and this is the true north, and this point is magnetic north, then if you suspend a magnetic needle, it will show you a difference angle theta. This theta, the declination can be either westward or eastward. So the relation between true bearing and the magnetic bearing is given by true bearing is equal to magnetic bearing plus or minus declination. So now let us solve one problem and understand. The problem says the magnetic bearing of a line is 48 degrees 24 minutes. So calculate the true bearing if the magnetic declination is 5 degrees 38 minutes east. So eastward declination eastward declination means positive, westward declination means negative. So this we have to keep in mind. So in this case it is eastward declination, so it is plus 5 degrees 38 minutes. So the true bearing of a line can be found out using 48 degrees, that is true bearing is equal to magnetic bearing plus or minus magnetic declination. So magnetic bearing is 48 degrees 24 minutes. Now because it is eastward declination we will use plus 5 degrees 38 minutes. So the answer here is 54 degrees 2 minutes. Next, now till now we were talking about magnetic bearing and true bearing. But now when we have to start with the compass surveying, we have to measure the bearing of different lines. Along the survey line we have to measure the bearings. Now when we measure the bearings with respect to the north, what happens is we have to find out the forebearing and the back bearing of a line. Now what is forebearing and what is back bearing of a line? Forebearing means, now for a line AB, now for any line AB, now if you set up a compass here at station A and measure, keep a ranging rod at point B and measure the angle, the compass will show the readings with respect to north. Now in this example the reading that is shown in the compass is 120 degrees. Now that becomes the forebearing. Now how do we decide which is the forebearing and which is the back bearing? Forebearing means if our direction of progression, the angle measured in the direction of progression. Now let us say we are continuing the survey like this. So these are the points A, B, C, D, E and F. These are the points. If the direction of survey is in this direction, then all the readings taken in this direction becomes the forebearing and the readings taken in the reverse becomes the back bearing. Now because these are the straight lines, the difference between forebearing and the back bearing will be exactly 180 degrees. So if you get the reading of 120 here, again when you set up the instrument at point B and ranging rod at point A and take down the reading, still your compass is going to measure from north only. So the reading that you will be getting is 300 degrees. So when you find out the difference between forebearing and back bearing, so this will be, here I have put the sign, my difference sign, because we have to subtract the bigger reading from the smaller reading. So 300 degrees minus 120 degrees is 180 degree. So now each line should have a difference of 180 degrees. If the difference is not equal to 180 degrees, then it is assumed that it is understood that there is certain kind of error. That error can be personal error, that is by mistakes made from the human perspective. The person who is taking the reading itself has noted it down in a wrong manner, or there can also be an influence of local attraction. So with respect to local attraction, we'll study in the further slides. Now we'll solve one problem wherein we'll understand how to calculate the back bearing from the given four bearings. So these are the four bearings which are given. For a line AB, it is said it is 12 degrees 24 minutes. So 12 degrees 24 minutes from the north it is saying. So this is 12 degrees 24 minutes. So back bearing is opposite 180 degree opposite to that. So what we can do, back bearing of line AB can be found out by adding 180. Back bearing, if you measure, it will be this angle. So 180 degrees plus 12 degree 40 minutes. So 12 degree 24 minutes. So we will get the answer as 192 degrees 24 minutes. Next line is line BC. So for the line BC, it is 119 degree. 119 degree means it is here. So this is 119 degrees 48 minutes. So what we want is this angle. So 119 degrees 48 minutes plus 180 degrees will give us 299 degrees and 48 minutes. Next, similarly for line CD. For the line CD, it is 266 degree 30 minutes. I'm sorry. Yeah, 266 is in third quadrant and the line is in S, right? So one thing, we can solve using two ways. So this is 266 degrees 30 minutes. So just like we added 180, here also we can do 266 degree 30 minutes plus 180 degrees. So the answer that we get is 446 degrees 30 minutes. So a circle cannot have an angle of 446 degrees. So the total angle that is present in a circle is 360 degrees. But we all know that the back bearing comes in the first quadrant. So what we can do, we can subtract 360 degrees 0 minutes from this. We will get 86 degrees 30 minutes. Same answer. The other method, this was one method by adding 180 degree. If it exceeds 360, subtract 360 from that, and whatever is remaining is the back bearing. If it is not, if the other method is, it is in third quadrant. That means if the forebearing value is more than 180 degree, then subtract 180 degree from that. That is what they have done from here. Done here. In both the ways, we will get the same answer. Next is this bearing of 354 degrees 18 minutes. In the similar way we can do 354 is in fourth quadrant, that is northwest quadrant. Then we can directly subtract 180, it will come here. Now we'll solve one problem. This is the problem. It says that the bearings of these lines are given. This is a polygon. A close traverse survey was done, and the bearings of these polygon, at each point is given. Bearing of each line is given. We are asked to find out the internal angles. Internal angles are this: theta 1, theta 2, theta 3, theta 4, and theta 5. So we'll solve that problem. Okay, we'll take down the problem here. So the problem says line AB, BC, CD, DE. Line A to B, B to C, C to D, D to E, and E to A. So these are the points A, B, C, D. E. We'll mark the north at these points. We'll only mark north side points here. Now they have given us the bearing of these points. So they have said that this is point A, B, C, D, E. Now this angle is 60 degrees, 30 minutes. This angle is 122 degrees, 0 minutes. This angle is 46 degrees. This one is 205 degrees, 30 minutes. Next, the bearing of this line is 300 degrees. So now this is the data available with us. So with this data, we have to calculate the internal angles. So the angles that we have to calculate is theta 1, theta 2, theta 3, theta 4, and theta 5. Internal angles we have to calculate. This is type 1 of the problem, calculating the internal angles with the help of the bearings given. To start with, we will write a table. The table is line. Then we have 4 bearing of the line. We will also calculate back bearing of the line. Line AB, line BC, line CD, then line DE, then we have EA. These are the 5 lines. 4 bearing is 60 degrees, 30 minutes here, 122 degrees, 0 minutes here, and it is 46 degrees. Then this is 205 degrees, 30 minutes. Then we have 300 degrees, 0 minutes. Next, the back bearing can be calculated by adding 180 here. It becomes 240 degrees, 30 minutes. Here again, as this number is less than 180, add 180 here. This becomes 302 degrees, 0 minutes. Then we have 46 degrees. Then this becomes 226 degrees, 0 minutes. Then as this number is bigger than 180, we can subtract 180 from this. This becomes 25 degrees, 30 minutes. Then this number is also larger than 180 degree. Then this becomes 120 degrees, 0 minutes. Now once we have got all the 4 bearings and back bearings of the line, we can start with finding out angle A. Angle A, or also called as theta 1, which we have denoted there, we can measure by measuring back bearing of line EA minus 4 bearing of AB. Back bearing of EA means, here let us understand this one thing. Back bearing of EA is this, right? So the angle that is marked in blue, from that you are subtracting the angle that is marked in green. When we do that, we'll get the angle theta 1. So from the values in the table, what is the back bearing of angle, back bearing of the line EA? It is 120 degrees 0 minutes, minus the forebearing of line AB is 60 degrees 30 minutes. So we will get the answer, angle A is equal to 59 degrees 30 minutes. Similarly, we'll calculate other angles. Angle B. Angle B can be calculated by back bearing of line AB minus forebearing of BC. Back bearing of line AB is 240 degrees 30 minutes minus 122 degrees 0 minutes. So this will give us 120 degrees 30 minutes. Angle B, which is also denoted as theta 2, is so much. Next is angle C, which is denoted as theta 3, is given by back bearing of line BC minus forebearing of line CD. Back bearing of line BC is 302 degrees 0 minutes minus forebearing is 46 degrees 0 minutes. So we'll get it as 256 degrees 0 minutes. This is angle C. Here, as angle C is an obtuse angle, this is an obtuse angle, it is 256 degrees. Okay. Now we will calculate angle D. Angle D or theta 4 is equal to back bearing of line CD minus forebearing of DE. So back bearing of line CD is 226 degrees 0 minutes minus 205 5 degrees 30 minutes. So the answer here is 20 degrees 30 minutes, angle D. Next is last angle E, then that is forebearing of EA minus back bearing of DE will give us 300 degrees 0 minutes minus 25 degrees 30 minutes. This will be 274 degrees 30 minutes. Now this 274 degrees 30 minutes, this is the exterior angle, but what we need is the interior angle. If we subtract 300 minus the back bearing, we are going to get the exterior angle. So what we can do, angle E is equal to 360 degree minus of 274 degrees 30 minutes. So the answer is 85 degrees 30 minutes. So it is 85 degrees 30 minutes. So this is how we solve this problem, where we will have to calculate it. This is one problem in which we have calculated the internal angles with the help of the bearings given. There is one more type of problem, that is we can calculate it's a reverse of this. We can calculate the bearings using the internal angles. We'll try to solve that now. We'll take down the question. The following interior angles were measured for a closed traverse. The beginning, the bearing of the line AB was measured. Bearing of the line AB was measured as 60 degrees 0 minutes with a prismatic compass. Calculate the bearing of all the other lines if angle A is 140 degrees 10 minutes, angle B is 90 degrees 8 minutes, angle C is 60 degrees 22 minutes, and angle D is 69 degrees and 20 minutes. Now with the data that is known to us, we will try to draw the figure. So the figure, okay. Similarly, we'll mark north here. Okay. So now we'll name this as A, B, C, and D. Now, what they have given us, what is the data given to us? They are saying that this first bearing is measured, that is 60 degrees 0 minutes. Angle A is 140 degrees 10 minutes. Angle B is 90 degrees 8 minutes. Angle C is 60 degrees 22 minutes. Angle D is 69 degrees 20 minutes. Now this is the data that is available with us. Now how can we proceed? If we know the bearing of line AB, that is 60 degrees, we can find out the back bearing of the line BA, 60 degrees plus 180 degrees. So it will be 240 degrees. 240 degrees measured from north till here, and if you subtract angle B from that, we will get this angle, and that is the bearing of line BC. With that principle, we will start solving the problem. So data known to us is bearing of line AB, that is 60 degrees 0 minutes. Then next line bearing we have to calculate. Bearing of line BC is equal to back bearing of line AB minus angle B. Now how do you calculate the back bearing? 60 degrees 0 minutes plus 180 degrees minus of angle B is 90 degrees 8 minutes. So when we solve this, we'll get the answer as 149 degrees 52 minutes as the bearing of the line BC. Once Once we come to know the bearing of the line BC, we'll calculate the bearing of other lines. That is, bearing of line after BC, it is CD is equal to back bearing of line BC minus angle C. So back bearing of line BC is, for bearing is known from here, 149 degrees 52 minutes plus 180 degrees minus of angle C is 60 degree 22 minutes. So this is 329 degrees 52 minutes minus 60 degree 22 minutes. So total it is 269 degrees 30 minutes. So this is bearing of line CD. Next, last line is bearing of line DA. Here, bearing of line DA is back bearing of CD minus angle D. Back bearing of line CD is, for bearing is 269 degree 30 minutes, which we just calculated, minus 180 degrees minus of angle D is 69 degree 20 minutes. So this is 89 degrees 30 minutes minus 69 degrees 20 minutes. So here the answer is 20 degrees 10 minutes. So this is angle DA. Now how do you check whatever you have calculated is correct or wrong? So check is, find out bearing of AB, that is back bearing of line AD minus angle A. So back bearing of angle D is 20 degrees 10 minutes plus 180 degrees minus angle A is 140 degrees 10 minutes. So here it is 80 plus 20, 210 degrees. I'm sorry. It is 200 degrees 10 minutes minus 140 degrees 10 minutes. So here the answer is 60 degrees, which is correct. So in the data given also, the bearing of the line AB was 60 degree. When we went in the clockwise direction and came back, again it was, we found it to be correct. So these are the two types of problems which we will encounter during the solution. So that is it for today's session. Thank you.